Hello everyone and welcome to another Research Skills for MSc students presentation by me, Dr. Paul Rose. In this talk, we're going to look at preparing for your thesis defence, your oral examination that often occurs at the end of your project when you sit down with your examiners and discuss what you found out, what you did, and any areas of opportunities, strengths, limitations, or challenges around the research project that you have now completed. This examination is often called a viva, or more formally, a viva voce examination, which is a Latin phrase that simply means with living voice. You are explaining in real time to a live audience, normally your examiners, what you have done and why you have done it. Your viva is the oral examination that is required for the attainment and achievement of an academic qualification. Your examiners will ask you to explain, to discuss, and to define different parts of your thesis or project write-up. The introduction, the methods, the statistical analysis that was applied, the results that you found out, and your discussion and interpretation of them. Some people interpret the phrase viva voce to mean by word of mouth. It's a live presentation where you speak what you have found out and where you evidence your further understanding and meaning behind the output from your research project. Students can find a viva and the build-up to a viva quite stressful, but if you take on board the points that I'll go over now and keep yourself calm and focused, everything should be fine. So long as you know your project and you know what you've done, there will be nothing there unusual or unfamiliar to you. The viva is sometimes called a thesis defence because it's a chance for you to say, this is what I have done and this is why I have done it. It's not a defence against criticism. It's a chance for you to show the world, and by the world I mean your examiners, why you have decided to approach your research in that particular way. In some universities, in Europe for example, the viva is actually given to a broader audience, but we don't generally do that here in the UK. So a thesis defence at MSc level is where you get questions on different sections of your work, where you can explain and define what you have done and why, and where you get the chance to evaluate different methods or approaches and to critique the opportunities and limitations within your thesis. Ultimately, it's an excellent opportunity for you to demonstrate your wider understanding of your piece of research, the specific project that you completed, and it's an excellent way for you to demonstrate your wider knowledge of the research area. How does your individual project fit into the broader way that research in that area is being conducted and the types of outputs that people are getting? Please remember that a thesis defence is not an exercise in trying to find error in your work. It's not a way that the examiners are going to make you feel bad or inadequate about your research. It's not an exercise whereby the examiners are going to find out what you don't know. It's not a way of putting you on the spot and expecting you to know everything. And most importantly, it's not a stats test. The examiners are not there to try and grill you on everything about your statistical analysis. You should certainly know your methods and statistical analyses, but it's not the only part of the viva. So just to repeat myself, the viva is not a chance for other people to find out what you don't know about your project. The viva is there for you to demonstrate what you do know about your project and what you know about how your project fits into the wider area of research that your project is ultimately within. So let's have a look at how to prepare for your viva. First and foremost, make sure you have read over your thesis. It may sound really straightforward and ultimately common sense, but you'll feel much more prepared if you go into your Viva having read your thesis pretty shortly before your exam. Don't finish your project, hand it in and have it marked and then forget about it. Read over it, no matter how painful that might be, because we all find spelling mistakes in our own work. But make sure your project is fresh in your mind. Review all of the different areas of research output, including the sections that you have found challenging. If stats is not your forte, don't shy away from it. Read it, read the literature, read the methods, read other papers that have done a similar thing. Build your evidence base so you can confidently explain why you chose those tests. Think about the areas of your research that you're likely to get questions on. For example, areas of methodological limitation, extraneous variables that were beyond your control. Things that you, in the back of your mind, kind of know that somebody might pick up upon. If you can work out why they occurred and give an answer, you're going to be better off impressing the examiners. You're going to be better at explaining and preempting certain questions. Please remember, because my supervisor told me is not an acceptable answer in a Viva. It is not your supervisor's work that is being assessed. It is your work that's being assessed, and therefore you should know exactly what you have done and why. Even the dreaded stats tests. You might have had help from the stats expert in the department, but you are the one that needs to explain why those tests were chosen. Do you know your background reading? Go over key citations and key papers. Know the authors, know the papers, know the background literature. Can you get some key examples to trip off your tongue? It will give the examiners a better impression of your wider understanding of the research area. When you get into the exam, and if you don't know something, it's always better to acknowledge that there might be areas of the research beyond your current experience, but would make for good areas of limitation for future study for research extension. It's best to ask for questions to be repeated if you're unsure or confused, and don't try to bluff an answer. If you genuinely don't know, say, "That's a good point that you have expressed, and it could clearly be something that would be a useful and relevant research extension. That limitation that you have picked up upon could be something we could look into in X, Y, or Z methods." Admission that something is beyond your current knowledge, but could be a good limitation to pick up upon, or a good research extension that we could approach in a different way, shows the examiners that you're evaluating and critiquing as you go, and that gives a much better impression than trying to bluff an answer. Remember, your examiners are more likely to be experienced in the research process than you are, so therefore are going to be better at picking up when you're going to bluff your way through. So don't even try it. Just state that what they have said might be beyond your current knowledge, but then use that to craft a point around a research extension. So long as that's credible, so long as that shows your understanding of the topic, you're going to get more points from acknowledging limitations or acknowledging areas you haven't considered, but then turning your answer into something that could be done in the future, so long as it's logical and relevant to your project. Ultimately, please do not panic about your Viva. Remember that the examiners want you to succeed. They will be genuinely interested in your work, so take time to consider your answers and give full answers. If you're eloquent and you're able to expand on your discussion, the examiners are more likely to have a conversation with you. Short, sharp answers to the point, which really leave the examiners with no way to go to keep the conversation flowing, are not going to give the same good impression. So be prepared, know your project, don't try to bluff your way through, and remember, don't just know the printed text in front of you, but know your overall journey through the research process. Know the planning stages, know the prep that you did, the study location and the sample population, know why the methods were chosen, know why you decided upon those stats tests, know why you presented the results that you did. Have an ability to explain and understand your discussion and critique, and know your conclusions. The Viva is not just on the written report. The Viva is on how you approach the research and how you completed that research project. It's your chance to show your knowledge of everything that you did that has led up to that printed thesis that you will have in your Viva. I hope this short presentation is useful to you as you prepare for your Viva. Remember, don't panic, remain calm and focused. Do some preparation around your thesis, make notes on it, pop post-it notes all over it, use different coloured highlighter. Think about the areas you're familiar with, the areas you enjoyed and found easier, and those areas that were more challenging or you found more complicated. Do the background reading, collect your evidence, and think about the types of questions you're going to be asked. Perhaps ask a fellow student or friend within a similar academic discipline to give you a couple of example questions. You can then practice what it's like to be questioned on your thesis by somebody else that doesn't know it. Because ultimately, please remember, just because you know your thesis doesn't necessarily mean that everybody will know it in the same way and that everybody will have the same interpretation of it. So good luck, don't panic, and just remember, be prepared. Thank you very much.